Ew! What is up? What is happening? Hope everybody's doing well. So, I was back up this war actually. We had some better, we had some fights that were better designed for other champs. So, we're actually going to be taking half of Node 29, and we're going to be taking the final boss actually. So we had a pretty fair lead on these guys, so I'm not going to be doing any like heavy boosting. With that said, I was still pretty nervous about this fight. We've got this Hyperion, which is a pretty decent idea for this because of the evolution thing or whatever. So I'm like, man, who should I go in with? I brought these options, obviously. I still wasn't sure, and then I was like, well, I'm not going to really put any buffs on him because, okay, so with the Masochism, he's got a pretty serious health pool, so I was like, you know what, let's try to go in with a champ who's going to place as few buffs as possible. He's only 455, so the health pool isn't like, 565, but still. Okay, so I was thinking I can actually use Power Start 1 to my advantage, right, because I can just bait specials. He's going to have to be super friendly with these specials because I'm going into Star-Lord. So I'm going to be trying to keep my combo short, usually not going for a full 5 hit. Probably going to be going for 4 hit combos, maybe 3, maybe 2, depending. You can see there. So I did get a parry there, which gave him 8,000. So I was like, man, that cannot happen again. So he's being very generous right now. And I'm like, you know what? Like, let's not get too comfortable there. I've really been trying to hit into their block, like no matter what node it is. If you're hitting into their block and you're getting them on their side of the screen, they're more likely to use their L. So you can see here, he's getting close, man. That time he was pretty close to an L2. He's got his L2, and I'm like, okay, so we've got him basically, we've got his AI out of the L1 cycle. And now we've kind of pushed him to an L2 cycle, which is a little scary. And I'm like, oh God, please use your L2. Oh my God. That's about as close as he's going to get to using his L2 without throwing it. Are we going to push him again? Okay, so now it seems like he's throwing it a little bit closer. Now it's like, now we've got the AI on a better cycle. I'm definitely not critting anymore because of the crit resistance, the way the node works. But with Star-Lord, I'm definitely picking up power, or definitely picking up damage. He's really working with me here. And I look at his power meter, and I'm like, boom, let's get him down. And I'm not going to lie, I was pretty nervous about that fight. It's one of those fights that I feel like if you don't get it the first time, it's just going to be a struggle. You know what I mean? Okay, so now we've got this Medusa boss fight, which I can tell you goes well. I learned, not only did it go well, but I actually learned something very valuable from this fight. For wars where it's going to be, maybe wars that are closer, where it's going to come down to like this boss solo will either win or lose the fight. So, yeah, we're going to put on an invulnerability boost. We're like, let's just put on a skill power boost. Why not? Yeah, so we're going to go in here. I mean, there was a few things I learned about this fight. And I'm going to tell you kind of like as we go. It was a very educational fight. One thing I can say is that I feel super comfortable fighting Medusa on this boss node. Like, I might even feel more comfortable about this node than I do about, maybe going against a node 29, for example. So the AI was a little bit aggressive. I wasn't too worried about it though. Gwenpool actually, in my opinion, has decent enough block damage. Not the best, but I can tank some block hits. We get five bleeds on there, which is nice. Get a little intercept. So at this point, I'm like, ooh, we've already got 20% of the fight down. Don't have the armor break. We're about 30% through the fight. I feel decent about that ratio because once I get the armor break, theoretically my damage is going to double, essentially. More like triple. you know? Okay, so this was my mistake here. I threw the L3 at my 30 hit counter. I'm not going to be going in ham. I mean, I'm pretty safe to start my combos here, but it's not 100%. So it's a situation like this where she goes up to 3 Furies, and I'm not going to be going in. So that armor break that I have was essentially useless. If I had thrown it, basically what I was thinking, like, right now, I would have been much more comfortable going in on her. Because now this is like a lot of wasted time. See, so I go in on her now at 35 hits, and it's safe. Like, even if Living Strands procs, very, very, very low probability that I'm going to stun. Like, maybe 1 or 2%. But you can tell, like, all this damage that I'm doing right now just isn't enough. If I had the armor break, it would be huge. She would be dropping like crazy. And so now I'm just, like, kind of racing the clock. You know, I've got about 50% health still. I'm playing super aggressively. I mean, we've got her backed into her corner of the screen, and, you know, she's going to be using her specials a lot more when she's backed up. But I'm just racing here. So 2 things I learned. One, I need to use my L3 when I'm, like, ready to go in ham. I can't use my L3 and then just kind of, like, you know, wait around more. Seems like common sense, but I actually hadn't thought of it. Going in for some intercepts here. Another thing I learned that somebody actually DM'd me, and then I hashed it out a little bit more, and that is, if I go 1 hit and then use my L3 while she has 3 Furies, there's a pretty decent chance I'm gonna like proc Living Strands with that L3, and then I can just go in ham. So 2 very valuable things I learned there with this fight. So that felt good to kind of have that all, you know, hashed out. So of course, you know, we time out. I'm like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. I know that if I time my L3 in a different way, and I'll be using, you know, obviously with a guaranteed win, you still want to boost up, but maybe don't use your big boys. Save those for you know, sketchier wars. Yeah, those were my thoughts there. So definitely, if I time my L3 differently and go in with those big boy boosts, this is an easy solo. But I think, you know, other than those 2 things I learned, a third thing that this really solidified for me is that I feel super confident going into this fight. Like, I'm surprised actually by how solid I feel. But man, I feel super comfortable against these fights, which is exciting, man. Having that feeling for boss fights, whew, that feels good. You know, I've never really felt that level of confidence in any node in war, let alone the boss node. So that's awesome. All right, guys. So yeah, we did go on to win this war. Big shout out to LitFam2. 2LitFam, is that right? 2LitFam. Anyways, sounds like what the hip kids say. All right, guys. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this little video. Definitely going to have some more exciting Alliance War stuff coming at you. All right, guys. I'll check y'all later. Peace.